No, this is no. Oh, wait. Wait. Hold on.
And
Wait,
yes,
I can't let this. So you didn't let me finish earlier, so I just want to finish the point that I was trying to make. Again, I need you to go in any business, just anything, a McDonald's, and ask the worker there. Labor was organized by aristocrats. Wait, hold on, please. Labor was organized. Wait, I need to finish my point.
Taking money from the rich and handing it out is not a solution, because it takes away productive assets. It takes away the opportunity for people to actually have jobs. It takes away the source of economic growth, saving, and investment.
The poverty that we see today is directly linked to income inequality. Why don't we talk about the fact that in spite of this country growing massively more productive, workers' wages aren't rising proportional to inflation? Whereas the uppermost 1%, theirs are skyrocketing massively, significantly beyond productivity, beyond inflation. We can see what this is. This is class warfare. Wealth being taken from the working class, the majority, and shepherded off to meet the excessive needs of a hyper minority.
Different people make different amounts of money based on how productive they are.
How do you tell if a person is being paid in accordance to their degree of productivity? Like, if you have a minimum wage worker, and then that person now gets paid more because of a raise, did their productivity like jump up with that raise? Like how would you look at a worker and say, like, this person isn't being paid in accordance to their productivity? How would you determine that? Because it seems to me like your justification is post hoc. Whatever you get paid must be what you deserve to get paid. Corporations get paid a bajillion. That's what they deserve. Workers get paid like $6 an hour. That's what they deserve. Like, how would you determine that?
It's a great question. I mean, if the worker left, given his level of productivity, could he get a higher wage somewhere else? This is the way competition works. The way competition for labor works is that I'm willing to outbid you for your worker.
But that's also post hoc. Like, then you're just saying, like, okay, it's still post hoc, just taking into account wages at other corporations. What if wages are depressed across a whole field?
Inside of corporations, I know how many widgets he makes per hour, how much I can sell those widgets in the marketplace, and therefore what kind of return on widgets I'm getting from his labor. And if he's now producing, if his productivity has gone up from producing 10 widgets to 15 widgets in an hour, then his productivity has gone up 50%, and he should get a 50% wage.
But that doesn't happen ever.
It does happen. Of course it happens.
It absolutely does not happen. A minimum wage worker works harder and then gets paid more? That doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't work harder. He produces more.
To produce, works harder to produce more, to process customers faster, to make more widgets. That does not happen.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't. When you work hardest, you get your face on the wall with a sign saying Employee of the Month. The idea that this is one of the fundamental critiques of like capitalism. The fact that like the lowest, the like easygoing worker and the hardworking worker get paid the same, that's a problem.
As you get better at what you do, you get paid more.
I'm sorry,
and that is from the beginning of the 19th century till today. The only reason wages have gone up is because productivity is
absolute fantasy. And I ask, and this is like Econ 101, like in a vacuum type arguments. I encourage anyone who is watching this who has actually worked a job. Do the coworkers that you have that work harder than the least hardworking coworkers get paid more proportionally? Are only the most effective and productive workers promoted to the next up position? No. This is no. But wait. Wait. Hold on. This is the problem that I have. Now, my argument for economics under a capitalist system is fairly simple. The marginal understanding of how like people get paid and what things cost. It's people get paid what their betters, what their overlords can get away with paying them. It's as simple as that. If you're a worker, if you work for a wage, you're going to be paid the smallest amount that your employer can pay you, because that's the supply-demand curve. Your job is to advocate for the highest wages you can get, and their job is to advocate for the lowest wages that you can get. And then that, the interstice, the mark between those two, is the amount that gets settled upon. But this doesn't describe productivity, and it certainly does not describe merit.
That is pure propaganda. Economic theory, and every economic textbook and every economic theoretician would suggest that you get paid in direct proportion to how much you produce, how much you create, how much you bring to the table. And
Wait,
yes,
I can't let this. So you didn't let me finish earlier, so I just want to finish the point that I was trying to make. So the idea that you are paid in accordance with your productivity is an idea repped by exactly zero legitimate economic fields. I mean, it's funny to me that you would try to set economic legitimacy when you're an objectivist, a field of economics that is not taken seriously and has never been taken seriously and is derived largely from works of fiction.
That's good.
Wait, no, hold on, wait. It's important because the idea that workers are paid based on productivity is just not true. They get paid what they have to be paid by their employers, or they'll find another place that will hire them that will pay them more. That's it. That's how they get paid.
We're talking about productivity, right? We're talking about how productive they are. That's what I've been talking about the whole time.
So again, I have to ask you, how would you determine whether or not a person is being paid in proportion to your level of productivity? Like, how would you go to a worker and say, because if you say, would they be hired for more somewhere else? That's not answering the question because that's still post hoc.
Double the amount of money. I mean, it's simple. Make double the amount of widgets. I'll pay you double the amount of money. That is how every worker is paid.
No, it's not. People get paid wages or minimum wage. They do not get paid with a direct proportion of their economic productivity.
People get minimum wage is minimal, and they stay on minimum wage for 6 months to a year. They don't go on minimum wage beyond that. Minimum wage is a marginal issue, and indeed, minimum wage does everything it can to keep some people out of the workforce completely. Minimum wage is a bogus issue.
I wasn't inviting you to do a tirade against the minimum wage. I was saying the idea that people get paid with proportion to their productivity is not true. Work at any warehouse, you do not get paid per box that you ship. Work at any fast food place, you do not get paid per burger that you flip. You get paid a wage. It's not your productivity that you're being paid for.
The wage goes up when you produce more.
Not reliably. No, there are people who work harder and never get promoted. What about people who work very hard, but they don't get promoted because managerial skills aren't the same as line cook skills? You can have the hardest working line cook making less than people who worked less hard than them.
Managers produce more than laborers. That's why they get paid more.
Explain that to me in a non-post hoc way.
That's why you get a raise when you move up to be managers.
Explain that. Wait, that's post hoc. Wait, hold on. I need to actually get a thought out with this guy. Hold on. That's post hoc. Again, the reason managers make more money is because they're more productive, and we know that because they make more money.
As I said before, there's no such thing as a worker without a manager. There is no such thing as labor without somebody to organize that labor.
There's no such thing as a manager without people to manage. That goes both ways.
Managers
what is a store with just a manager in it? It's non-functioning.
There's no functioning business without managers.
There's no functioning business without workers. This is a circular argument. So I ask you again, how do you determine whether or not a person's wages are correlating to their productivity? Because you're literally arguing in a circle. They make X amount of money because they're X productive, and I know how productive they are because that's how much money they make. How do you determine if a person is being over or underpaid?
By how much they produce. I mean, it's
but how do you determine? Wait, hold on. Again, I need you to go in any business. Anything, a McDonald's, and ask the worker there, do you get paid more the harder you work? Go to any Amazon warehouse, go to a jewelry store, go to anywhere on earth and ask them that question. Nobody gets paid according to their productivity. This is a made-up ascription that you are making to post hoc justify the exorbitant wages of the 1%. That the reason they make so much is because they must be that much more productive. I reject this framework. Productivity is not why people get paid. They get paid more because they're more powerful. Same as lords of the past.
This is complete detachment from reality, a complete detachment from what actually happens in the workforce, a complete detachment from understanding of economics and why it has to be that workers get paid based on how productive they are and how the market moves them in that direction and always has moved them to that direction. And the only reason workers make more money today than they did in the past is because they're more productive, not because their so-called overlords are more generous. Indeed, and the reason they get raised when they get into the management class, because managers are responsible for more production, they are responsible for more productivity, they're responsible for a greater amount of goods being produced, and therefore they're more valuable. They're more valuable to the business, therefore they get paid more. This has nothing to do with power. This has everything to do with economic value.
What about kings?
And the reason, what about what?
Kings, like monarchs, the money they made. You can't have a kingdom without a king. And all of the economic activity of the serfs and lords beneath them was dependent on the existence. Wait, hold on, please. You have to let me finish what I'm saying before you respond to it, please.
in
But
force.
Yaron, if you could hold on a second,
Wait,
just let
okay.
him finish and then
I'm
respond.
just saying everything that you're describing right now works in a fiefdom. You have a king.
No.
The king makes quite a bit more than the serfs, let me tell you. I don't know the exact proportion there. I'm going to say it's a lot. The king makes a lot of money, but they are more productive. Kings work hard, and after all, without them, the kingdom wouldn't exist. And that's the metric by which you can't just have a bunch of marauding feudal villages without some sort of lordly protection. You need that like overarching system. What about like you could use this system that you have to justify any power structure. You could use it to justify you could use it to justify like the pharaohs. Why do X and Y make more money? Well, it's because they're more productive. And why are they more productive? Because they make more money.
Middle of my statement, but it turns out I get it. I mean, it's silly. It really is silly to bring up kingdoms and serfdoms and
Explain
so on.
how it's different from what you believe. How is my analogy inept compared to what you've described? Like the productivity equals wealth equals productivity example.
It's massively different. One, it's not voluntary. Kings did not ask people to come and work for them. Kings did not negotiate wages with them. Kings did not. No, they did not.
Wait, yeah, they did. Yeah.
Let me finish. I let you do your little rant, which is meaningless. Let me answer it. Right? It was not voluntary. It was not negotiable. It was not negotiated. Nobody could resign. You couldn't resign from the kingdom. If you worked for the king, you had to work for him. If not, there was jail and there was a sword.
What happens in America if you can't pay food?
In a voluntary society, in a corporation, there was no competition, and of course there was nothing being created. All there was redistribution. Nobody had an idea. Nobody actually organized and produced and created. And as a consequence,
yes,
on the kingdoms,
all that happened in feudal societies.
Static. Nothing ever happened. To compare authoritarian kingdoms or to compare authoritarianism to corporations and to capitalism is just silly. And by the way, every system that has tried to move us towards any form of socialism has exactly mimicked kingdoms. It's mimicked central planners.
I notice you completely ignored my question, the wealth productivity circular argument. Like you didn't actually explain how it's different with regards to feudalism. Also, what happens in America if you can't afford to buy food? You die and you starve.
There's no voluntary exchange in the feudalism, and there is no production in the feudalism.
Yes, they produce things in feudalism.
Productivity in the feudalism.
Yes,
and
there was.
It's all coercive. It's all based on coercive.
So the fact that you're saying there was no production under like medieval Europe tells me that you don't actually understand the economic systems we're referring to here. To you, like capitalism is just this deific, otherly system with a completely unique set of principles and conditions that have nothing to do with the economic systems that came before that. That's not true. Labor was organized by aristocrats. Wait, hold on, please. Labor was organized. Wait, I need to finish my point. Labor was organized by aristocrats under feudalism. Work was done. Productivity was increased. Feudalism spanned a length of time in excess of 1,000 years. And over that course of time, cities and kingdoms rose and fell. Great works were achieved. Private enterprises were started, relied upon wealth funded both privately and publicly, and then died. Entire generations of mercantile and aristocratic classes presided over various economic subsystems. You say that the difference here, well, first of all, you say the difference here is a number of silly things that don't actually apply, like that there wasn't productivity or managerial organization under feudalism, which is not true. But then you say the difference is coercion. The difference is whether or not you actually had a choice. But we don't have a choice in your world either. In the world you want, you either work or you starve. In the which, by the way, is a lethal process, starving to death. In the world that the kings and queens orchestrated, you either work for them or you died. So you die by the sword or you die by malnutrition, I suppose. You get that choice either way. The only solution to this, the true solution, is to give the worker, the working class, the ability to fairly dictate their wages. Have a seat at the bargaining table. And that's what unions do. The other solution is a welfare state, which is the reason why here in America, you don't starve if you don't work. Because through the expense of our taxpayers, we ensure that people who are going through rough times are able to survive for a little bit, or for their whole life if they need to, off of welfare. A service that, by the way, Ayn Rand also benefited from. Welfare allows people the freedom to not work if they would rather not. And that's why I'm pro-welfare state. That's why I'm pro-union. I'm giving people the freedom to not work if they don't want to. And if they do want to work, the freedom to actually argue their wages fairly against the vastly more powerful corporations they're opposed against. This guy is an award-winning finance professor. What am I supposed to do?